When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast where NFT stands for nose-blasting French twinks.
Yeah.
We.
Mais oui. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
And we're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today,
what are we doing, Mike?
we're going to talk about snakes.
We'll talk about why. Maybe I also have questions on why, but...
Tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking podcast.
Oh, you had that written down ahead of time, right?
No.
Oh.
I did have a whole thing. Like, I read way too much on the movie Snakes on a Plane because I was hoping that there was anything gay about it.
Something gay.
Turns out, no. Like, the gayest thing was the snakes.
I do that sometimes where I'm like, please let there be something gay about this thing I'm looking at. I have two things before we get into it.
Dos. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
First,
yes.
This is a correction. I don't know if I've actually said it or left it in the podcast or I've just mentioned it elsewhere. Anyway, I have said, though, a couple times that anyone who plays a gay character, a straight person playing a gay character, especially on a D&D podcast, should be obligated to reply to our guest request and beyond. Turns out the DM for Dungeons and Daddies is bisexual.
Oh.
So he doesn't have to reply to our guest request because he can play an LGBT character if he wants to.
You erased him on accident.
To my credit, he doesn't have a little rainbow icon in his Twitter, so how am I supposed to know? I just randomly started Googling it, and turned out he had posted once on Twitter about feeling like he wasn't totally like bisexual or good bisexual or whatever because he feels more attraction to women and has never dated a man. And then he was like, but then I saw this picture of I forget who, and then I saw this picture and I was reminded I'm definitely bisexual. Yeah. So very relevant, and did not know he was LGBT. So
he's the DM. Do you think that he would let his players like cheat in return for sexual favors? Like, do you think that's a part of the dynamic? I don't listen to the show, but
are you saying all queer people are kind of slutty, Mike?
Don't ruin this headcanon for me, Kyle.
I mean, one of the things about bisexuals is everyone thinks that they can have sex with them always, and you're
I mean,
it's kind of hot, though. The second thing.
Yeah.
Headcanon. Wow, what a D&D thing to say. Second thing, we were on remakes, reboots, and revivals talking about Queer as Folk. We talked about it on an episode, and that inspired someone to have us on their podcast to talk more about it. So we were on their episode on June 30th. So take a listen to that. And we have a Spotify playlist of all the other podcasts we've been on. So if you want to go find all the other places you can listen to us talk, you can find that on Spotify.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah.
And like, it was harrowing though, because I was like, am I going to say the same things that I said on our show? And what if I like disagree with myself? What does that mean?
What would, let's do therapy. What would that mean, Mike?
It would mean that I don't have a solid sense of identity, that I can be swayed in any given moment by whoever my audience is.
Oh, boy. Maybe you don't have to be logically consistent 100% of your life, and you're allowed to say what you feel at any given moment.
That's true. Yeah.
Fixed. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Better help. Now the news?
Yeah.
Shut your mouth hole, it's time for your ear holes. News.
News the first. The Kneeland Avenue Christian Reformed Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Kneeland for Jesus.
Kneeland for Jesus. Was told by their headquarters, the Christian Reformed Church of America, told them, you have to fire your deacon because she is in a same-sex marriage. So apparently they're a Dutch Calvinist denomination, which that means something to religious people, I guess. And they had their annual synod, which is like, I don't know, Jesus Congress, I guess.
Jesus Con. Welcome to Jesus Con 2022. More Jesus, more con.
And during this meeting, they took up the issue of this Michigan church's lesbian deacon and said, no, we need to get her out of there. Anyway, apparently at Jesus Con they were doing all kinds of stuff on like human sexuality, and they decided, no, we're not down with gays. So the church then had their own local vote and said, nah, fuck you, we're keeping her.
We don't care.
We're keeping her.
Nice.
A council member told Christianity Daily, we had, quote, prayed, wrestled with the word, and discerned together, and later decided that stripping the LGBTQ plus deacon of her role would be both disobedient to God's call and less than fully loving to all his children. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're like having a fight.
This is like very representative of my views of religion too. The larger entity is evil, and individuals, churches, or people can be good.
Yep.
This is exactly what I would expect.
The deacon said, quote, it feels really great to be supported by my church family. I hope others in the LGBTQ plus community who want to use their gifts in God's kingdom see Kneeland Church as a beacon of hope. So, yeah.
Cool, I guess.
Cool, you guess?
Yeah.
I know. It's complicated, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm poking holes at your religion sucks bubble.
Oh no, you're not.
Oh,
you're nothing you said is at all surprising. The institution is evil and horrible, and there's some gays in it.
Great. News the second. So, just a few days ago on July 1st, Florida's Don't Say Gay law came into effect. So, we've talked about this a couple of times on the show, but
like it had been passed and approved before, but this is like the starting date.
Now it's actually going.
Gotcha.
Like stop saying the gay now. Apparently,
yeah.
Public schools in Florida have begun implementing new policies to limit discussion of LGBTQ plus issues in classes, following the implementation of the state's parental rights and education law, also known as the Don't Say Gay law. Okay, so here's the thing. As the Don't Say Gay law came into like the news and we were following it and everything, there were a lot of people who pushed back and they said it's not going to actually silence teachers. It's not going to actually threaten LGBTQ people. And just like fucking Roe v. Wade and everything else, fuck you.
Who was saying that? Were people trying to defend, like Republicans trying to defend the bill, saying it's not as
and
big?
a lot of moderates, a lot of conservative moderates that were like, no, we just don't want anal sex taught to our third grader. Well, that's fine. This accomplishes that, but it also is actively affecting people. For example, school officials around Orlando sent out official notices to educators not to wear rainbow clothing, that they need to remove pictures of their same-sex spouses from their desks, remove LGBTQ plus safe space stickers from their classroom doors. This is from Clinton McCracken, who's president of the Orange County Classroom Teachers Association.
Clinton McCracken, you're a cartoon dog.
The Leon County School Board unanimously approved its LGBTQ inclusive school guide after an extended debate on Tuesday night. And the document includes a provision that requires parents to be notified if their child participates in physical education or goes on an overnight school trip with a person who is, quote, open about their gender identity.
Wow.
It says, quote, upon notification or determination of a student who is open about their gender identity, parents of the affected students will be notified of reasonable accommodation options available.
Wait, someone that's open about their gender identity, so boys that think they're boys and say they're boys, you have to notify everyone because that's their gender identity.
Yep.
This boy did boy things and acted like a boy and felt comfortable in the boys' bathroom. Attention, everyone. Like, people don't even know what the language they're trying to steal means.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. I hope they keep, like, safe space stickers. Like, never has that been more relevant than this moment. Like, the entire, to have a safe space sticker, especially in the face of it is not okay in most places, that's when it's most meaningful. So, like, it's kind of ironic to be like, take down your safe space sticker. Like,
yep.
I don't know. All of this is obviously very dumb, but, like, that in particular is like,
this space is no longer safe, damn it.
Yeah, stop being so safe.
Oh, God. Well, Carlos Guillermo Smith, who is a gay Latino legislator in Florida, has been an outspoken critic of this legislation, has said that it will result in a shortage of teachers. The state already is 9,000 educators short of where they need to be.
Damn.
And smears against LGBTQ plus teachers will contribute to the shortage. Quote, they are saying that our teachers, whom people love, are grooming children and that our teachers are sexualizing them. They're all baseless accusations that have absolutely zero merits and are having a demoralizing effect on our teachers. It's just, the thing is, our existence is threatening to cishet people and conservative people, some cishet conservative people. And I just can't get over how fucked up it is that a heterosexual couple's wedding picture on a desk is any different than a same-sex couple's wedding picture on a desk. But one is a clear threat to our children and is grooming them and is like, it's so fucked up. It is so fucked up.
Yeah.
They have no right. But they do have the law, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you, Florida. Blow it out your ass. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on in Florida, and I'm really sorry, y'all. Move up here. Okay. News the last.
Yeah.
This is my favorite story of the week. Pride was in London this last weekend on the 2nd of July. And there's a TikTok from London Pride that shows a bunch of anti-gay protesters speaking through a speaker, an amplifier, and then the voice cuts out and their speaker starts playing It's Raining Men. Someone hacked into the protesters' speaker to play the gayest song that has ever existed. It's so awesome. Now,
don't mess with the younger generation who was born into a world of technology.
Your bigotry went over Bluetooth, and that was your first mistake.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like, don't fuck with K-pop stans. Like, they are real good at dominating, like, Twitter or TikTok, or they know what's up and how to take over conversations on the internet.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't agree more. This was the 50th anniversary of Pride in the UK, which is pretty great. There were about a 1.5 million people that showed up.
Fuck.
Anytime you have that many queers in one place, you're also going to get some assholes, which that was the case here.
I mean, some queers are assholes too, so some of them were marching as well, you know?
That's true.
They're all over.
Assholes are everywhere, Kyle. Fuckers are everywhere. Anyway.
That's what we should start calling tops and bottoms.
Fuckers?
Assholes and fuckers.
Yep. There is some disagreement about whether it was actually hacked. There's another TikToker who said that the system wasn't hacked, but they just merely blasted the song next to them loudly enough that you couldn't hear them over the song. Either way.
Don't Rain Men, not on my parade.
Right.
Come on now. Let's just have this.
Yeah. I would love to go to Pride in like London or Manchester or,
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah, maybe this time I won't have COVID. That's the news.
That's the news. Thank you to the following people who I would love to celebrate Pride with someday. Our new Patreon members are Danny Lime. All these people this week sound like superheroes.
Kieran Scurvy.
Karen Scurvy?
Curing scurvy.
Oh, great. Sure. Jonathan Wong and Brandon LaRose. Or Lee Rose. Or La Rose. Ooh, I like that one.
You're right. Those all sound like names that like a first-year script writer would come up with.
Yep. I promise they're real. I didn't make them up. They are real human people.
Or at least their money is.
Their money is real human people. We just recently put out our second episode of Momsplaining. So if you pledge at the $5 and up level, you get bonus segments every week, a bonus episode every month, bonus Momsplaining every month. So join at www.patreon.com/gayish podcast.
Yeah, this month we made her define Octomount Tango.
Yeah. It was great.
Well, actually, you did. Not you, but a listener did.
You, the listener, are in control.
Yeah.
Like the Kids' Choice Awards, but for adults and for sex.
Write in your questions. She loves them.
Yeah. Ready to talk about snakes?
Let's talk about snakes. Okay, so I have written in the notes that Murph, my brother Murph, asked us to do an episode on snakes.
Oh, okay.
I brought it up to him this weekend, and he was like, were we drunk? And I'm pretty sure we were.
Okay.
So I have no idea why he wanted this episode.
Okay.
Or if there's some other Murph in my life that I forgot about.
Hey, are you Snake Murph? Let us know. Yeah.
But yeah, we like to every once in a while do a random ass, like, whatever the fuck we feel like. And Snakes is it.
Yeah.
After all that queer shit we did last month.
Yeah, I enjoyed last month, learned a lot of stuff, talked a lot about a lot of, heavy queer things. And you know what? Let's just talk about snakes, man.
Yeah, let's talk about snakes,
Let's be chill, have some fun. Let's relax. Let's loosen up. Let's drop the pride. We're just regular humans now. We don't have pride anymore. And let's just talk about snakes.
Bring on the snakes. So, okay, I know this is not the episode plan, but I do want to ask real quickly. How do you feel about snakes? Because some people are freaked the fuck out by snakes, lose their shit when they're around, think that they're creepy.
As I've gotten older, have become afraid of more things. Growing up, my brother always had snakes as pets, and I always had mice. And so This
says a lot about your relationship, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, in what way?
There's a built-in antagonism there, right?
Yeah, that's not true. My brother's not antagonistic.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know. It's funny. Like, I grew up around snakes. I would like hold a snake and they just kind of like slither in your hand like an infinite snake. I don't know what I was thinking there, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm fine with it nowadays. If I saw one, I'd probably get nervous and like be kind of gay about it and run away. But I also wouldn't know if they're poisonous because I don't know anything about like rhymes. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Probably best to just assume they're all poisonous or venomous.
Yeah,
right.
Just like tops.
Yeah.
What about you?
We had like harmless snakes like in the backyard growing up, and they didn't particularly scare me. But we also had rattlesnakes near where I grew up, like in places that we would go camping. So I had like the fear of God drummed into me by my dad and my uncle and my grandparents, mom, who like just don't go towards the rattlesnakes and be careful where you walk and listen for the rattles and like all of the like if we have to suck the juice out if you get bit, that'll be no fun. Like, I
don't think that's true. I don't think you should suck venom out of. I think you might get yourself poisoned when you do that.
Makes for good porn. Okay, but
is there a rattlesnake themed porn? I mean, there's everything, but yeah,
there's got to be. But yeah, I'm like I have a healthy fear of snakes, even the ones that I probably shouldn't be afraid of. But I also think they're cool. Like I like them on YouTube, just not in person.
You watched snake videos on YouTube,
especially the last week leading up to this episode, trying to find something to talk about.
Okay, did you? This is separate. Did you find stuff to talk about?
Yes,
certainly.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Or I didn't know if this was going to be the Kyle show, just me talking about everything. I found a bunch. I was surprised. Again, you're like, is this gay? And like, yeah, it's kind of gay. Okay, I'm going to start with the more literal interpretation of this topic.
Okay.
I found an article called "Queer Snakes."
Oh,
that's
nailed
perfect.
it.
Yeah, it's a
June
little bit
is over, Kyle. We're not doing queer anymore.
We're morphing. We're taking the slow kind of step towards getting out of our queer thing by still talking about queer, but with some snakes.
Good job.
So, as a reminder, gay and bisexual behavior is found in over 1,000 species. And something I just read is that apparently they're more, just like in humans, more than more bisexual than any other. So, bi snakes everywhere.
By snake erasure.
So this article that I found is by Jake Griffiths, who is was in 2019 at least the young heritage leader of the National Museum in Wales.
Okay.
And Jake said, quote, "Some people argue that animal sexuality is purely instinctive, but I don't think we give them enough credit. They also have emotions and intelligence and agency, just in a different way." And then he went on to list I really liked what he did. He took a few different species of snakes and kind of interpreted them as what kind of LGBTQ thing would they be. Which so we'll start with the common garter snake. And he said they are kind of basic. They choose their opposite sex partner carefully. They might be the straight cis snakes of the world.
Okay, they're not. We're gonna get to that. But go ahead.
Wow, Jake already have some conflict with the article. He there was a snake exhibit going on. So during June in 2019, he did this is why he did the queer snake version to celebrate Pride.
Excellent.
Maybe Jake is wrong about this one. The rest, totally right. Gopher snake. They can become romantic with any gender. And when bonds are made between male snakes, some of the male snakes take on the female role. So, are they any gender? Maybe they're pan, maybe they're bi. Or if some take on a female role, maybe there's a little bit of trans there or gender fluidity.
Or heteronormativity.
Or heteronormativity, if you're a militant gay that hates that. Speckled rattlesnake.
Okay. Rattle.
Fights between same-sex snakes can lead to romantic-leaning partnerships.
Oh, wow.
So he said, quote, alpha energy becoming respect, which in turn becomes passion. So he was like, are these kinky? Kinky snakes?
Or daddy snakes.
Daddy snakes? That would be a good one. Yeah. And lastly, the flower pot snake. This is a female-only species. They produce offspring from parthenogenesis, which is the slow way to say asexual reproduction. And so, I don't know, it's always interesting, like asexuality. Oftentimes I think about just like cell division or something like, basically like that.
A snake seems like it's a pretty complicated thing to just like make its own babies.
Yep. And it does. And so Jake said, quote, these queens of the animal kingdom are also completely blind, by the way, but they don't need anyone to do whatever they like. Asexual.
Okay, great.
Asexual energy. And those are just a few examples of the gay snakes that we see out in the world.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Queer snake fest, huh? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Go see it in 2019 at the museum in National Museum in Wales.
All right. Okay.
You're going to tell me why Jake is wrong?
I'm going to tell you why Jake is wrong.
Okay.
And okay, so there's a...
I don't know Jake, but I'm already very defensive of him.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Jake, the snake pride guy.
He needs all the help he can get.
Okay.
So there is a Vice.com article that I found titled, Yearly Snake Fuckfest is in full swing.
What?
Yeah. And
why Jake Griffiths is wrong.
There's another Vice article called Super Snake Orgies Are Causing Male Snakes to Die Younger. And here's the thing. So they are red-sided garter snakes. Is the snakes the snakes in question? Yeah. So every year, I'm going to probably fuck this up, in Narcisse, Canada. It's in Manitoba. So
most Manitobans are so narcissist,
right? Okay, so all of them hibernate, and then they all come out of hibernation at the same time and immediately start mating.
They're like so full of cum.
Yep.
Or whatever the snake cum is. Is it just cum? I don't know. I don't know how snakes work.
Tens of thousands. Yeah, they have cold cum?
Oh.
They're cold-blooded.
Just like my ex.
Well, there's tens of thousands of them, and they come out, and apparently it is approximately 100-to-1 dude snakes to lady snakes.
Holy shit, my dream scenario.
And they all gangbang the shit out of the lady snake. Okay, so they all slither out of their dens and start just going to town. Experts call this phenomenon a mating ball.
Oh, okay. It's starting to get gross. This is starting to remind me of a rat king, which grosses me out.
Oh, it looks like one, except snakes writhing around each other in just like a giant mass.
Okay, I don't like this anymore.
Okay, well, the Narcisse Snake Dens site is now a tourist attraction.
What? Come watch these snakes fuck each other in a giant ball.
Yep,
But when I invite everyone to my apartment to do it, I'm the pervert.
Right. Oh, can we start calling your apartment a snake pit? A snake den?
I can start. I can get that tattooed up on my ass.
So, well, first, the straight snake. Okay, it's a writhing orgy of like 100 dude snakes and one lady snake, because they're just like, she just wiggles her tail or whatever, and like they've come running to like have the biggest gangbang orgy ever.
Yeah.
Which is that's not gay.
Right. Well. I mean, okay.
Why? What?
I mean, if you're all there to fuck a chick, like, that's specifically straight.
Yeah, but what if you put it in you a little bit? Snakes have two dicks. Did you know snakes have two dicks?
Really?
Yeah, snakes have two dicks.
Just their head and their tail?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have. It's called a hemipene, and they have one on each side down near their tail. And the theory goes that it evolved that way so that they don't have to like turn around. Like it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter which side they're on, they can bang.
Oh, that's so lazy. I love it.
Yeah.
Wait, but what'd you say? It's gay because what if they put it in?
Yeah.
What do you So then it's not banging her. Like, does it every now and then a dick miss and it just kind of goes in a dude?
Yeah,
friendly crossfire,
and maybe two at the same time because they have two dicks.
Nice.
But they're like these writhing masses of just sexual energy. Okay, so here's the thing: male snakes are so focused on reproduction they don't eat during mating season, and apparently these mating ball rituals are so out of control that sometimes they die.
God, fucking to death.
Yep. And it also, the ones that live apparently have a shortened lifespan as a result of these big ass orgies. So
they fuck the life out of themselves.
Yep.
Damn.
So this Sarah Emerson article on Vice, super snake orgies are causing male snakes to die younger. She says, quote, someone's always going to have a bad time at an orgy. And a red-sided garter snake is no exception. So the thing is, mating is super expensive, but and the males tend to go all out. They don't eat. They stay at the orgy site for up to 21 days.
Damn.
Which I can only handle Steamworks for like a couple of hours at most. And then they looked at a bunch of data and they found that the males end up with their DNA has shortened telomeres compared to the female counterparts. In other words, they're aging faster. And the massive expenditure of energy because of these orgies are why. Apparently, the females like leave the orgy after a couple of days, and the males like stick around and keep the orgy going for like 3 weeks, and that's
okay. That's the gay part there. Now I get it. I just imagine like some woman leaves the orgy and none of the dudes notice, and she's like, "What the fuck? What? Are you serious?" Everyone's like, "Wait, wasn't there a lady here to make this not gay?"
Yeah, and apparently also predators find that they're very distracted and they can just like chow down on the snake orgy.
Yeah, that's just like a snake sandwich right there.
Nom 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 nom. No, guys, keep fucking. Nom nom nom.
Nothing going on here. So it's such a big orgy. This, like on the other side of the orgy, someone's like, "Do you hear that?" No, keep fucking. No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, so a different garter snake species. So this is not the same ones that are up in Manitoba. But the same effect would probably work on them because, sorry, I'm lying to you. Because I read two different papers and one of them was on different garter snakes. This one is on the same garter snakes. Okay. Scientists did a experiment where they put a small capsule under the skin of male snakes that would slowly release estrogen into their systems. And
it seems just weird and mean. I don't know.
It would raise their estrogen level to about that of a female snake. And after a year of this estrogen supplementation, the male snakes would put off a pheromone that caused other males to swarm to them and form a mating ball. So basically, just by raising their estrogen levels, all of the dudes wanted to bang the dude and would. And it's really interesting. Like in your article a little bit ago, talking about how like is it instinctual or is there like feelings and emotions involved? Yeah. This part actually is just instinctual. It's based on hormones and chemicals and pheromones. But apparently, the way that red-sided garter snakes decide who to bang in part is because they lick each other. And then when they lick each other, the male can determine the species, sex, population, season, reproductive condition, size, and age of its possible partner. And these dude snakes, if they had their estrogen levels raised, would like elicit the like yes let's fuck response.
Taste like a woman or something.
In fact, some of the male snakes would ignore the female snakes and instead would go for the estrogen enhanced male snakes. Like it's super potent. Other male snakes actually preferred them to the smaller female snakes. And it's really It's really interesting. I think, you know, we talk about human sexuality, and it's obviously different and super complicated, but like, you can sort of make snakes gay just by like messing with their chemicals and hormones a little bit. That implies like a certain fluidity to sexuality, that like we're also animals as much as people don't want to believe it. How many systems do we have in place in our bodies that could potentially change our sexual response, especially like smells and hormones and, you know,
taste.
Yeah. And anyway, I just think it's really super interesting that you could just basically give a snake a pill and like it makes all the other dude snakes around him suddenly super gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's the garter snake thing, and that's why what's his butt is wrong.
Yeah, although you were talking this, he said the common garter snake. So I don't know enough about snakes to know the differences between the types. But you didn't say the common garter snake necessarily. So I'm going to believe Jake.
Okay.
Jake has my heart and my the words on my paper.
You did say that you were Team Jake. So
I am Team Jake. Yeah. I'm going to tell you. Okay, now let's get into snake metaphors.
Okay.
Because I mean, what kind of metaphors? What do snakes represent?
The ability to swallow things whole. Like,
oh, fuck. I didn't even think of that one.
unhinge your jaw. Here comes a giant dick.
Yes. Well, okay. Snakes also metaphor for dicks themselves.
Right. Yeah.
But snakes also have been a metaphor for evilness.
Sure. Thanks, Bible.
Oh, thanks, Bible. Well, I'm going to tell you about not the Bible, but a different character that represented both snakes and evilness, and that's Jafar from Aladdin.
Oh, okay. Where are you going with this? This will be.
I mean,
this is going to be great.
That's kind of that's kind of it.
Oh, he turns into a big ass snake and like does evil. Okay, go ahead. Please go ahead.
No. That's basically the bullet. Yeah. A tweet from Elise Navidad. That's funny.
Oh my God.
Good work, Elise. Said, quote, Jafar.
That's an excellent drag queen name.
That is a good drag queen
Elise
name.
Navidad.
Holy shit. Elise says, Jafar's origin story is that he's gay and pissed.
That's true. That's true.
Like many Disney villains, Jafar's coded gay. He has a snake staff and, like you said, eventually turns into a snake and then eventually turns into a very hot genie, which is ultimately his downfall, but like all shirtless and buff, which is fun. Yeah. Like a snake, he kind of has a hiss / is that a lisp? That's another thing about snakes that I didn't connect until this. There is like the hiss and lisp are, there's something similar about that's sneaky, so I could see that connection.
Yep, for sure.
He is effeminate. He has a manicured beard. He looks like he's wearing a lot of eye makeup.
Yep.
And as one article pointed out, he is obsessed with Aladdin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And an angle on the queer coded villains that I hadn't thought of is, this is from Samantha Allen's article. I miss Disney's queer coded villains, but the next generation won't. This is from 2019 in New Now Next. Samantha talks about the live remake of Aladdin in 2019 where Jafar, who the cast was like smoking fucking hot. He had like V's more pronounced than his abs, and it was insane. But apparently not coded gay. And Samantha was like, he was very boring. There's something about if you take away the queerness, the queer subtext of a character, there's something kind of boring about them. It's weird to think of there's something that I don't like about that is, I kind of leaned on this when I was a kid, like in college, I would come out, and I've said this before, like when women found out I was gay, they would like me better, which feels nice unless you think about it.
Right. Yeah.
Because like, what is that all that I have going for me now? Where maybe you don't, if you're gay, you're not a threat to them anymore. Like straight men. I mean, men are statistically a threat to them. So maybe it's like, maybe you become more approachable, or I don't know, there's just something that straight women like about gay men. And that it gave me those vibes of like, if you take away the gayness of a queer villain, maybe they don't have anything going for them.
Yeah. Okay. So first, I've always thought it was a safety thing. Like I agree with that assessment. I think that's it's a safety thing, but
I think that's probably the roots of it. But then it grew into like almost status symbol is the wrong way to say it, but then they think you can give them gay advice on like what to wear and all this shit that I could never do, and I could, would pretend to know about fashion, and I would just regurgitate things I learned on TV shows, and then eventually I stopped trying because I was like, I don't.
Or just give the worst advice ever. Like somebody only has to follow the worst advice ever once to never ask you for advice again,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
But queer-coded villains. I think there's is it Shere Khan? I forget the name of the snake from the Jungle Book, but has a super lispy voice and is evil and is bad. But one thing I can't quite pick apart, and I don't know that it's possible to, is the difference between queer coding and campy. Because I think that there are a lot of villains that have a campiness to them, and we automatically think that that's queerness. But is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, Jafar is a faggot, and to take that out in a live action depiction, I've not seen it.
Neither have
I imagine sucks.
You take away. Okay, what are the things that are queer coded? Yeah, campiness. There's at the end he. In this article talked about how he just basically reads Aladdin when he sings this Prince Ali to be like, you're not any of the things you said. He just lists all the shitty things about him.
Yeah.
And he's very punny. He had this whole scene right before he turns it to the snake where he's like, get to the point or something, and then drops swords on him, or all these things that are like kind of pun. And yeah, so yeah, there's a lot, like part of the queer coding, part of the things we like are maybe some of the good or fun or interesting qualities. Maybe it's not because it's queer coded, we're reading into a lot of qualities that we ourselves like in other queer people. So, that makes it feel a little bit better, removing these characteristics that are nothing at all about his actual orientation.
Yeah.
So they said, Smith said, quote, "We are capable of criticizing Disney for queer coding its villains without surrendering our strange sense of ownership over them," which is a really interesting, when you grow up having no representation, you see these this is any kind of queer coded or anything. And so there's something that you connect with, and then later you're like, oh, fuck, that was kind of shitty, but you still have that connection. Yeah. It's this interesting contrast between disliking the idea of it, but still liking the character. Like, we fucking love Ursula, and if they took out any kind of draggish nature or kind of lesbian, she has the short hair lesbian vibes, like if they took away some of those things, you're like, wait, that's not who that character is.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in one of the quotes that she brought into the article, she said, "If you try to really gay the villain up, you could be facing accusations of tokenism or stereotype. If you cast with no regard to that history, you have this situation where it feels like an intentional omission."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
for sure.
That's such a weird spot. It's one of those things that Disney probably finds itself in this weird spot. Also, it's a situation they built for themselves. It's hard to feel too bad for them if they have capitalized, and they have, on using queer-coded villains throughout their history, and now they kind of have to pay the price or figure out how to balance that and do it. Like, that's what you get.
Yeah.
Like, that I almost like that as a repercussion from what they've done. Like, you got to figure out a way to make this work.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, they didn't totally create that right? Like live action film had queer coded people in it, and they were largely villains, and or at the very least tragic characters. But like a lot of villains in live action were queer coded. Yeah. But then like cartoons have to do everything like to the 11th. They dial it up to 11, right?
Yeah,
and so they took that already existing concept of a queer coded villain and like put it on steroids, and then you end up with what you end up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Just make Billy Porter every villain, and like I would sign up for that. Yeah,
yeah. So there's a interesting connection between, and I didn't even think of the Jungle Book, but there's a weird connection between gay characters, evil, and snakes.
Yeah,
that is an interesting. I wonder. I think snakes are Bible mythology are evil, and also snakes are code for gay. There's mythology around snakes being gay or trans. Then those things come together somehow. And is it coincidental? Is it intentional? Is it, I'm trying to find something evil, so snake and gay coding both come up, and so they accidentally kind of push them together. But there's something gay and evil about snakes.
Yeah. Doesn't Lil Nas X fuck a snake version of himself in Call Me By Your Name?
Is that how it starts? But that's because all of it is about the Bible. So it's kind of pulling the snake. Did he fuck it though?
I got heavy "We're Gonna Bang Now" vibes, but
you get that from just
seeing him,
just being a human person. Yeah.
Well, okay. So you talk about other like symbolism or euphemisms or things that are wrapped up into snakes, and you talk about like it's a penis, right? It's a dick. But I wanted to talk to you about trouser snakes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really really funny shit on that I found about trouser snakes. And
what more is there to trouser snakes besides the phrase trouser snake?
Well, I just love like the concept of fake like field guides. Like I totally want to do a gay one where it's like, here's an otter in its natural territory, and like make up fake Latin versions of their names and like what habitats they prefer and their mating habits. Like I think that's really funny. So I found one for trouser snakes. Trouser snake, Erectus trouserus, or otherwise commonly referred to as trouser snake, is the world's most dangerous snake. It is fangless. The average length is 5 to 6 inches, although some are said to reach 8 inches. Colors vary from pink to black. It usually attacks women in the mouth or lower abdomen area. Its highly venomous spit can cause swelling that lasts about 9 months. Some species are also known to attack men from behind. There's like so little subterfuge in this. There's like, kind of just going for it. Yeah, just going for it. Then there's a new, like, it's not new to me thing that I love, the Uncyclopedia.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. It's Wikipedia, but like none of it is true. And so in Patreon, I'm going to talk a little more about like this longer thing, because there's an entire article on trouser snake. And their Latin name for it is genitalis masculus. But I'll go over it more in depth there. But one-eyed trouser snake or trouser snake, that's a phrase you're familiar with? Yeah.
One-eyed snake, that's the one-eyed something snake. I wrote down
purple-headed yogurt slinger.
It's such a dumb one. Yeah, one-eyed snake, trouser snake, anaconda. That's just
or the Hammaconda. Should we talk about that?
What is that?
John Hamm apparently has a gigantic cock, and like it can't be hidden or tamed. And it was like 2013, 2014 that like it started going around the internet, like pictures of his big old wang in his jeans or pants or shorts or whatever. And it got to be a thing of him like having to say in interviews, "Can we not talk about my dick, please?" Right?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, the got nicknamed the Hammaconda. And
I hadn't heard that.
That's Snake City, man.
Also, I like the anaconda. We didn't add any additional kind of descriptor. We just like, that's just one for one. Anaconda's just a dick.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's what Baby Got Back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sir Mix-a-Lot. My anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. So I did see an etymology for trouser snake that said that it was attributed to the 1960s, but there are places in which referring to a penis as a snake is much, much older than that. But the specific phrase trouser snake, this article was claiming is from the 1960s, which that seems really late to me.
Well, I mean, Freud talked about. Should I talk about?
Yeah, do
Freud?
it. Let's do it.
Okay, so at least as early as Freud, you talk about 60s seeing late. Like Freud said that snakes are penises, and especially in dreams. So in the interpretation of dreams in 1899, he said, quote, "Most of those animals which are utilized as genital symbols in mythology and folklore play this part also in dreams. The fish, the snail, the cat, the mouse, on account of the hairiness of the genitals." Sure. Didn't trim too much back then. But above all, the snake, which is the most important symbol of the male member. So apparently snake means penis in your dreams. And if you are a man that dreams of a protector in the form of a snake, that means you're gay. And the larger the size of the snake, the greater, the article I read said, the greater the threat. I guess the threat of homosexuality.
Well, yeah,
like
sure.
a looming snake.
Sure.
So I don't know, if you're straight, if you think you're straight, if you think you're a straight dude and dream of snakes, sorry, Freud says you gay.
You gay, girl.
Gay, you gotta suck a dick.
Yep.
You gotta put that snake in your mouth. Yeah.
Find an anaconda. Find a Hammaconda. Well, this is bringing it down just a little bit, but
I have something to bring it down too. Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people have this sort of understandable but false belief that like the Stonewall riots happened and we won.
Okay.
Like, and then it was over.
Didn't expect this turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was the summer of 1969, but there were regular raids and riots because of other similar events, and a lot of them happened in New York. For instance, about 6 blocks away from Stonewall, on March 8th, 1970, the New York Police Department raided the Snake Pit.
Oh.
The Snake Pit was an after-hours bar at 211 West 10th Street in Greenwich Village. Deputy Inspector Seymour Pine, who was the same guy that was in charge of the raids on Stonewall, showed up with a fleet of police wagons and arrested all 167 customer, staff, and owners in the Snake Pit.
Do you think he had that's interesting. I don't think about what happened to that dude specifically, but it kept on going, arresting people. I wonder if then he just had a vendetta. Like, that's what he was trying to do at Stonewall and people resisted. But I wonder if he was just like, no, I'm going to prove myself as a police leader and I'm going to keep doing this. Or yeah.
So apparently it had become, since Stonewall, it had become a police policy not to do big roundups like that. And he did it anyway. So he arrested 167 people and took them all to the station house. And that violated police policy, but he did it anyway. There was a undocumented immigrant from Argentina who was here in the country illegally named Diego Vinales. He freaked out at the police station and jumped out a second-story window. He landed on a fence and got impaled on part of the fence. Apparently, the paramedics were trying to figure out how to get him off of this fence so that they could take him to the hospital. And one of the cops told a fireman on the scene, quote, "You don't have to hurry. He's dead. And if not, he's not going to live long."
Oh, my God.
Vinales was eventually cut loose, taken to St. Vincent's Hospital. He survived.
Wow.
Spent a couple of weeks in the hospital, and then when he was released, moved back to Argentina. This...
Imagine telling paramedics when you see a live person, like, don't even worry about it.
Right. Well, and especially, like, how much of that had to do with because he's brown and gay.
Yeah.
Right.
You add those two together, and that's a very good representation of how dehumanizing and what the result is of someone treating an immigrant and a gay person like they don't actually matter.
Yep.
Paramedics are probably like, fuck off.
Right.
Go do your dumb job. I'm like,
yeah.
Why are you?
Yeah. Why are you just standing around being horrible?
Yeah.
So the Snake Pit arrests sparked another sort of mini flare-up of tensions in that community. The Gay Activist Alliance immediately organized a protest for later that night. A pamphlet that publicized the protest read, quote, "Any way you look at it, Diego Vinales was pushed. We are all being pushed. A march on the 6th Precinct will take place tonight, March 8th at 9 p.m., gathering at Sheridan Square. Anyone who calls himself a human being who has the guts to stand up to this horror, join us." Nearly 500 people showed up for an angry and loud but largely peaceful protest. They went to the precinct station, and then they had a vigil at St. Vincent's Hospital where Vinales was there recovering. He was in there for a couple of weeks, but this is the night after it happened. So Representative Ed Koch, do you know who Ed Koch is? He eventually was mayor of New York, but more importantly, I think was in Ghostbusters. But it doesn't matter. But he was the mayor of New York City. He accused NYPD Commissioner Howard Leary of greenlighting the resumption of raids, harassment, and illegal arrests against the gay community. And both so the commissioner and Seymour Pine were reassigned to the Flatbush section of Brooklyn. So they were kicked out of Manhattan. You go over there, which that feels kind of Catholic churchy to me, of like just move the priest to somewhere else. Like,
I mean, or policey, where you're just allowed to move to different places and do your dumb police stuff there.
Yep. So there had already been a big burst of organizing activity since Stonewall, but this was really a sort of galvanizing event, and it really set the stage for Pride to happen just 3 months later on the first anniversary of the Stonewall riots. And the Snake Pit, man. The Snake Pit is this like important piece of gay history that sort of gets overshadowed by Stonewall, because we think of that as being like Stonewall happened and then things were great.
Yeah,
and that's just not how it went down.
Yeah. And it's also interesting, it almost feels like two different ways it could have gone, but both that ended in protests. Like they tried to arrest a bunch of people at Stonewall and they literally fought back, and that kicked off, this riot. And then another one where they did arrest people and we still organized and protested against it. It's interesting that, both those happened. And, we've talked before about there are ones that led up to that. And part of the reason we talk about the trans women of color that were at Stonewall is not just because of that night, but because of they were the ones that were often harassed. And there are other, things leading up to Stonewall. That is why and the LGBT community was so frustrated. But it's interesting to talk about the ones that happened after and kind of help solidify no, that was the right thing to do.
Yep. I want to go to a bar called the Snake Pit, Kyle.
I want to be the Snake Pit.
Okay.
Okay, can I do my bring it down thing too?
Bring it down.
This is a article, essay, something.
This is going great.
This is written words that I found called A Snake in Your Pocket. It is from a book called HIV Negative, How the Uninfected Are Affected by AIDS, by William I. Johnston, not your relative, unless you dropped the T somewhere along the way. In 1995, this section was written by Claude Dupont. It started out with, and what caught my attention, I don't think gay men are doomed. I think the majority will survive AIDS, but I don't think I will survive it.
Ooh. Wow, okay.
So, in this essay, Claude talks about being HIV negative, but how that feels. And it's very interesting because I often see, and we often discuss, rightfully so, the impact, what happens to people who had AIDS, have HIV, the, kind of what needs to happen, the research that needs to happen, the treatment support, what it's like these days. Like all of these focus on HIV positive people. And this is kind of the first time I saw a book that did a more in-depth discussion analysis of being HIV negative. And there's still a lot there. Being HIV negative doesn't just mean great, you don't have HIV, cool, everything's chill for you. There's still a lot that comes along with this happening in the world, regardless of positive or negative.
Yeah.
So this is another, HIV Negative is another book that we should get for a Gayish library that we're not building out, but should. So I just want to read a couple quotes about from this essay. I worked myself into a state of such anxiety that I was ill. I would wake up in the middle of the night, for example, and my heart would be racing and I would be sweating. I would not be able to go back to sleep, looking at the clock until 6 when I had to get up. I would get up in the morning and feeling sick and thinking, that's it. This is really it. Throughout the day, I would work myself into a frantic state of anxiety where I was convinced that I was definitely HIV positive. I'd feel exhausted during the day. I couldn't really concentrate, and I couldn't work because I was so tired from not getting enough rest. I was convinced that all these things were symptoms of my HIV positive status. Looking back, the symptoms I was experiencing were not HIV related.
Yeah.
And I really liked that very intense and personal description of the anxiety that can come along with the fear of HIV. And it's interesting because he described a lot of what he did as not having anal sex and doing things that were on the safer side, but that didn't resolve the fear of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I very much relate to it. I mean, there have been many times where I'm like, oh, I was off PrEP and then slept with someone, and so I had to get either PEP, or maybe I didn't do it in time, or like I've done things that are like, it is possible that even before PrEP, like was not on it and did things that I very much could have gotten HIV. And even today, I still have these same kind of anxieties about it. Yeah. And I don't know that I would describe it as that extreme, but there's been at least one time where I seriously was like, my lymph nodes are swollen. I joke about it often with you where I'm like, I think I have it, but there's some level of truth to it. And there's at least one time where I was like, oh, I'm now sick. I, didn't take or had been off PrEP, and okay, I just had to I was starting to get my mind around, I have HIV. How am I going to tell people? What am I going to do? Like I was there.
Yeah.
Do you have that level of anxiety?
I don't. And I think, I don't know. I'm dead inside. So like that helps. But no, I really don't. And I'm not sure why not. I worried about it a lot more before PrEP.
Yeah.
I think I've just super leaned into, I'm on PrEP, so I'm invincible. And that's not how it works either.
I
right?
mean, okay, maybe not the word invincible, but it is 99%. Like if someone gets HIV when being on PrEP, it is a news story. Like we've had a news story of the, one dude who got it, or I forget what number we're at now, but it's close to the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I don't worry about it. I also, I've had some other STIs, and you work through them, and none of them are really a death sentence, at least not now. So I'm pretty at ease, I think, about it. But I get it. Like it makes sense. It's a human reaction to have to such a powerful symbol in our history, and it's still very much a reality in parts of the world, and it's still very much a reality in our community in certain parts of it, where either people don't have access to PrEP or are unaware.
Yeah.
So
And also he described me having anxiety in general, not just about this. So it's, I think people with anxiety already, this is a very easy thing to focus that anxiety on because there's everything that comes along with it. One more quote I wanted to read from the writing. I think I carry a little bit of guilt. I was very sexually active in my late teens and 20s. Looking back, I wondered, how could I do all this and still be HIV negative? It was like someday there would be something that I would have to pay for. The day would come when I would turn seropositive because all of the things that I did. Which there is both survivor's guilt in that, and almost a little bit of just overall guilt for the guilt for being gay. It's I have to kind of still feeling like that's bad, and there has to be some kind of punishment. People literally said AIDS is the punishment for being gay. So of course, it would make sense that you would, because Jesus. So it makes sense that you would, internalize that, or I feel that too. Boy, I have had some risky sex and I'm negative, and why do I deserve that? And I've heard, stories from someone who had sex once with someone who was positive and was positive. It doesn't feel fair. And, it's a weird thing to kind of process. I think it's interesting. The one thing that came from this that the phrase generational trauma, I never really kind of connected with, or always thought that was kind of I don't know, it feels like spiritual or an energy or something that I don't necessarily believe in. But I think this, to me, there is generational trauma around AIDS, and I can understand a little bit more about how it can be passed along through the types of stories we have, or the things we hear, or people's attitudes, even though, I did not grow up in the thick of it. The things that are passed along still affect the modern day, and I can imagine still will continue to. And so I think that generational trauma is a more tangible thing than I have thought of before, and think that being gay, you experience it more than I kind of gave it credit for.
Yeah. I think it's for sure a thing, but it's just harder to measure and isn't like, it feels a little frou-frou. You're right about that, but it's also not like, okay. So I think about my Uncle Tommy. Like I watched him and his partner die of AIDS in 1990 or 1991, and part of me thinks that was like a real motivator to stay in the closet, right? Like if that's what it meant to be gay, why would I want to sign up for that, right? And it's very complicated, my reasons for staying in the closet and getting married to a woman and blah blah blah. But like that's a thing that stands out, is like maybe it was traumatic, and I wasn't even out and in the community. Can you imagine like going to the bar and then like having all your friends die? Like it's gotta impact things in a sociological way, in a community kind of a way.
Yeah. So what this book did is it focused more on the HIV negative people. Like when one of the interesting things that I did not think about, this is now not the essay anymore, just more about the book. One of the things it talked about is, are you as doctors in your pre-screening, if you're talking only about what happens if you're positive, are you giving more weight and value to a positive diagnosis? If you don't talk at all about negative, are you almost making positive the target outcome, the outcome that if you don't get that, you got the wrong outcome, because everything they described is what happens if you're positive. So there are things that I wouldn't have even thought of, like trying to give weight of the potential of both outcomes. Getting a negative outcome does not completely remove all feelings, and it's not just great, I'm good, especially for people like me with anxiety. Like, do I believe that? Do I feel now I feel guilty for that? Or, there's a bunch of things that can come with even an HIV negative diagnosis or being HIV negative. So I thought that was an interesting book that I'd not thought of. And the essay that I liked is A Snake in Your Pocket. Kind of goes along with everything we talked about. There's like both some, funny dick reference, and also like there's an evilness assigned to dicks and what they can do. And, especially being gay, like the potential they have to what they can cause. So, yeah, mostly what I've learned, anything that a dick can go into is like, you need to get a doctor to check that out, because it can cause like cancer or all this other shit.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah. Dicks, man.
Man dicks.
The snakes.
Yeah. Can you do a snake voice without making it sound gay? Like, how can you do like a...
No, you just can't.
I was trying to think of like, no, I can't. I'm trying to, okay. How about a snake bro? Let's get Aladdin. No, I don't know. Sup, dude. I don't know.
Did we do it?
We did something.
We talked about snakes.
Yeah, we did. Was this... we did this because we wanted a fun one to just throw out there. Yeah. But yeah, just completely fun, random, but also snakes are evil and gay. So there you have it.
Yep. Next time a snake talks to you, listen.
Eat it.
Put it in your mouth.
Put it in your mouth.
Should we take a break?
Let's take a break.
Break. Nope.
Yep.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're going to do our gayest and snakest.
We're going to do our snakest and greatest, but first... okay, listen up, you fuckers.
Oh, God. What?
Podcastawards.com. The nominations are open now. We want to win this. If we don't win this, I will quit the show. So you get your fucking shit together, you assholes.
The snakes have never been higher.
That's funny. I like that. Podcastawards.com. You do have to make an account, but I think if you had an account from one of the previous years when you totally voted for us because you're a good person, that will still work. But yeah, just podcastawards.com. There's a big old blue button in the middle of the screen. Nominations, voting now open. Click here to vote. The other thing is, by voting for us in the nominating process, you end up potentially being one of the actual like voters that get to vote and decide from voting who wins. Yeah. So
I will say the other podcasts that have won in the past put together far larger campaigns to get themselves to win. So we don't do as huge of pushes. So it's, yeah, I don't know. Please. It's very helpful if you do it.
Do it, or I will be sad.
And apparently quit.
And quit.
Just like spitting. You're just a quitter.
Okay. Next, our website is gayishpodcast.com.
We are on socials, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, no, at Gayish Podcast.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails, is 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rates apply.
Our email is gayishpodcast@gmail.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109. Before we do our Gayest, Straightest, I'm going to do one more local gay bar review.
Okay.
Which is now the NBC News theme song, apparently. So I went to Woof's in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's a good name.
And, okay, so it was more of a restaurant than anything. And it was really interesting because I went at dinner time. And I don't know if it, like, shifts strongly in demographic at some point in its evening. But at 6 or 6:30, whatever the fuck time it was, I was in the lower half of the age bracket in that room. A lot of bears and daddies in there. And here's the thing, Kyle.
What's the thing?
If you want good food, befriend the bears. Because I had the best Cobb salad of my entire fucking life at Woof's in Atlanta, Georgia. It was magical.
But it's a salad. It's like, is it even worth
You shut your goddamn mouth. It was magical.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fucking amazing. And it got busier. I met a fraternity brother and his boyfriend there, and we hung out for a few hours, and it was lively and fun, and the food was fantastic, and it's a cool, chill place to hang out. So, Woof's, Atlanta, Georgia, 4 dildos.
Nice. Did you get bit?
No, not there.
Okay.
No.
Gayest and Straightest?
Let's do our Gayest and Straightest.
I'll go.
Okay.
My gayest is, I got a message on Instagram saying, someone like, hey, I saw that you have talked about getting a lateral internal sphincterotomy. I am, considering getting one and want to know. I've never heard anyone talk about it, so can you give me advice? And I weirdly like that. That is definitely one of those things that I think more gay men have had to deal with than talk about it, or at least have to deal with fissures, but like to get to that next step. So it was both. I'm glad that I could be a person. Someone is like, hey, help. And I tried to do a little bit of like, hey, I'm not a doctor, BT dubs, but here's my experience. And it ended up working. So, just being the person someone can go to for that felt very gay. My straightest is my Pandora hoodie. I got a free hoodie maybe like 8 years ago or something back when I worked at a different company, and it's very comfy, and I just wear that now all the time. I feel like I at some point want to buy a non-branded hoodie that it's not, I don't know, but for now, free hoodie that I wear all the time is my straightest. I wear
my Salesforce Trailblazer hoodie all the time, and it's like, it's not great. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So the straightest thing about me this week, I drove home to see my family for the 4th of July weekend for a little bit. The straightest thing about me this week is my snack choices when driving. I mean, a Slim Jim, a Red Bull, and a thing of sunflower seeds. Like, who am I?
Those are extremely straight things.
Yes.
Like either straight or baseball player. I mean, what's the difference? But yeah.
And the gayest thing about me this week, there was an accident on the freeway, and I got stuck in traffic, and it was like stop and go traffic. And I looked over and got pointed at and laughed at by the car next to me, because as we were stopped, I was on Grindr and they could see it, because my phone is mounted in a place on the windshield where you could see it. So yeah, I totally got caught looking at Grindr in traffic.
Oh my God. That's a lot of like, I get like putting on some music or something in the car, but I guess if you're stopped, then that's fine. That's a lot of effort you have to put into something while you're driving. Yeah. Mike, be careful.
Okay. It's only because we were stopped.
Okay.
A listener's Gayest and Straightest this week is coming to us from Discord. This is Noah Fox 8. Straightest, making my uncles and cousins shotgun beers with me to send my frat's group chat because we had a running joke of whose family was the most frat. Gayest, sneaking out of my uncle's lake house last night after lighting fireworks and getting railed in a barn by a hot Midwestern boy. Honorable mention, my American flag cut off jorts.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Well done.
Yeah.
Congrats. Happy birthday, America.
And fuck you, America.
Yeah.
I don't recognize your independence.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. A special thank you to all of the snakes that snaked.
A special thank you to all the evil snakes, because you're probably gay and we probably love you in a way that's very conflicted.
Also, I looked it up during the break, and the snake from Jungle Book was Ka.
Cock. Our super cat bridgers are thank you to you. You are all our favorite snakes: Stephen Porch, Yost Social, Harry Staw, Josh Copeland, Forrest Nail, Patrick Martin, Anonymous, James Barrow, Steve Doug, Explosive Lasagna, Christopher Farrell, Just Jamie, Kevin Henderson, Tipsy McStumbles, Donald Linsky, Thomas B, Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorian, and Jerome York.
That is it from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. This has been Gayish. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you. Be
Super.
fabulous.
Bye.
Bye. Professional podcasters who remember to turn off the phones before recording. It's always so good. You're always perfect at that.
Yep. I'm the best.